It's Hollie's Hotspurs back with another one. Chatting all things Tottenham, we're second to none. Special guests every time, if it's win, lose or draw. The passion is high like Harry Kane when he scores. Or when Lloris makes a world-class save. We got Hoybier running the mid every game. Settle down, stick around, share your thoughts with the panel. And make sure you're subscribing to the channel. Coys.
Hello and welcome to another Hollie's Hotspurs Live. Tonight we were going to dissect the Leicester game, but sadly that didn't go ahead. Instead, we've got Kane episode 12 of EastEnders to dissect tonight instead. So with me to do so, I am joined by three fabulous guests. First of all, Connor, thank you again for joining me tonight. How are you?
Yeah, I'm okay. I'm probably more okay than Harry Kane is at the minute in not knowing what he wants to do with his future. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm good. A bit disappointed about that friendly the other day, but it doesn't get more Spursy than having a friendly organised during a monsoon season and not knowing that the game's going to get cancelled. But yeah, I'm all right. I'm good.
So it's just another thing to add to our list of disappointments at the moment. But I'm glad to have you on, Connor. Also, once again, joined by Sonny tonight. Sonny, how are you, my friend?
I'm good. I must have made a good debut last time because I've already been asked back. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. Lots of Kane chat. And yes, busy window so far.
It is indeed. No, you did do a good debut, so that's why I've jumped you back on, my friend. And also joined by Jay as well. Jay, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. I think the EastEnders reference of this Kane saga was brilliant because, they've got a real... I think they've got the record for the most consecutive episodes, haven't they? But I think this Kane saga is... For how long it goes on, it might have a chance of catching it. I'm not sure.
No, it really does. And that's probably going to be the first thing we're going to talk about. Because I thought, you know what, let's just get it out of the way. Because I think as many times as we've all been on this show, it's the one thing we always talk about these consecutive weeks. So, Connor, I'm going to come to you first. Obviously, it hasn't really slowed down. And news coming out today that the plot is thickening because now Joe Lewis is deciding to get his hands up amongst it. What do you kind of make of it?
I don't believe it myself. I think it's a load of BS, purely and solely for the reason that Joe Lewis has not done anything in God knows how many years, and he's just lurking in the corners. And all of a sudden, there's all this talk about Harry Kane, and he's randomly going to leave. Yeah, I think you need to get as much money as possible. I'm not having it. I don't. Theoretically, for me, I don't believe any of the Kane stuff, purely and solely, unless it's Romano. Here we go. I'm just very much like a. You know what? I was really embroiled the other day. Like I think it's Gary Jacobs, and he was like, yeah, Kane said he wants to he wants to join Bayern and this, that, the other. But I'm like, how do you know? Like you best mates with him. Like I never understand. I never understand the rumors. So for me, I think it's a load of bollocks. But excuse my language. But yeah, who knows? Who knows?
No, it's fine. Language is fine because I think that's the only word we can use to describe what's going on at the minute. I mean, Sonny, I'll come to you because it feels like Bayern have been a consistent throughout this transfer window trying to get Harry Kane. And obviously more so the other week when a reporter came in and held up a Bayern shirt with Kane on the back. So what do you kind of make it of all of that's going on at the moment?
I mean, I did a video on that journalist and I think he's an absolute disgrace. Considering that I've got a journalist degree myself, I think he's put the whole industry to shame. But it's just a bit of a circus, isn't it? I mean, now PSG have come in and it just seems like it's just going around in circles. And I feel like I speak for a majority of Tottenham fans. I think we're all sick of it. Like we're just sick to the teeth of. I think we're now come to that conclusion of let's just get rid of him. Like, we'd rather he come out and maybe say a few words or just put it to bed, because if this drags on for the rest of the transfer window, I think we're all going to be shells of what we used to be. Like, it's actually just really disheartening, and it's maybe stopping us doing anything else. Like, it's been like a month since we heard anything about Tapsoba or Mickey van der Ven or any other incomings. It's sort of, maybe the incomings are sort of influenced by this deal. Like, unless something's been resolved by it, we don't know what's going to happen. And you know, you saying about Joe Lewis there, he is like the evil, like in his evil lair. You never hear or see from him. But when I saw his name pop up on Twitter last night, I thought something was wrong in the algorithm. But I don't know, honestly. I just can't predict it anymore. I feel like one week you say one thing and then it changes, and just needs to be resolved. Either sign the deal or we'll love you and leave you.
And I think that's the thing. I think it's come out as well that Daniel Levy's given Harry Kane an ultimatum, Jane. It's either you sign a new deal or you leave for the fee. But the thing is, it's that fee. No one's going to, at the moment, go for that fee that's been offered.
Well, the thing is for me with the Kane situation, and I think everyone's accountable. I think Bayern Munich are accountable here. I think Kane's accountable here, and I think the club are accountable here because to compare it to my other favourite sport, American football, those that follow it, there's currently a thing going on with the running backs. There's a player called Saquon Barkley. He's a big player in American football, and he was having contract trouble with his team. And he just went straight on a podcast and said, this is what they offered me. This is what I asked for. This is what I want to do with my career. That's it. And that put everything to bed. The cards are on the table. Okay, it might not be the most professional way to go about it. But, none of the three parties have come with concrete evidence or come out with something concrete to say, this is the situation. And all that it's doing is it's riling up Spurs fans, it's riling up Bayern Munich fans, it's making the club look incompetent, it's making some of the biggest defenders of Harry Kane, including myself here, question who he's got around him managing his PR. We had this situation with City last time. It's
Hollie Kane, that's the answer.
This is what I'm saying. Someone's got to come out and say something official. Because, we were talking about the Joe Lewis thing. I can imagine from even if he's in his evil den, from a business perspective, you don't want this to go on. It makes you look weak. It makes you look hard to deal with it on the other side of the spectrum. And from a business perspective, if, Joe Lewis is the big evil person that he probably is, he's saying, well, the guy don't want to be here. Let's take 100 million for him. It's a stupid business decision in his eyes because he's so detached from the football club. He doesn't see what the impact would be on the fans and the club as a whole. But I just think someone's got to come out and say something official because otherwise it's just going to drag on and the media are going to run with it and it's just not going to help anyone.
I mean, it's a bit like what Adrian said. I mean, it's funny as it seems with all of the comments that are coming out, but at the moment you feel like literally anybody could write these rumours. And Connor, I think that's the thing that's driving everyone up the wall in the sense that I could even put a tweet out and say, look, I've seen Harry Kane, I've seen Kate, they're going to Germany. Like it's getting that bad at the moment.
It's awful, absolutely awful. Honestly, like it's uncomfortable. Some of the stuff that you're hearing and seeing, like the Kate Kane thing. Like she's like 8 months pregnant. In what world is someone going to fly to Germany or be 8 months pregnant and look for a house, all because their husband might want to join a football club? Like, no, it's just I don't get it. You know what? Referring to what Jay just said, I think you just need to get him on Hollie's Hotspurs. Just clear things up. Just get him on here, and he'll confirm if he's staying or not. Honestly, that's the best way to do it. No, it's almost like all the media outlets are trying to pick and choose what's the most creative way to try and decide where Harry Kane's future is. Like there is no. It's like every day there's a new rumor, and it's like, well, what one is it? Is it Kate's looking for a house, or is it he's going to PSG, or is it all of a sudden Saudi Arabia looking at him? Do you know what I mean? Like it's very much all these different things. It wouldn't surprise me if there's one coming out about him joining that Accrington Stanley or something. There's so many of them coming out. It's ludicrous. And I'm not going to believe it until the club or him say anything. That's how I see it.
I think that's the thing. It's again with the whole thing that happened with the Super League. Us fans are always put in the dark, and it's that is the consistent that we've always seen with this club at the moment. I mean, Sonny, I come to you because obviously at the moment this is overshadowing what Ange is trying to do at the club, and I think that's the thing that's really irritating a lot of fans as well. Again, we've got a manager in, and bigger things are trying to overshadow it when that shouldn't be the case.
It's. I think Ange is getting frustrated as well. I've seen rumours that you're a new manager at the club, and every question at your press conference is Kane. I think third question into his first press conference was about Harry Kane, and he even said we had a bet about this. It just gets annoying because also it just reminds me the whole of last season. Kane has a good game. Oh, could he go to a better club? Kane has a bad game. Oh, he should leave Tottenham and move. And it's like we're sick of it. I mean, the neutrals love it. I feel like a lot of media outlets, I don't know if they've got commission on this Kane transfer because it's like they're trying to sell him for us, and it just, and I work for a media outlet, obviously, so we must have some, something in the game. But it is just infuriating as a fan, as a normal fan of a normal club, just to see every day it's a different rumor, a different name, and you just don't know what to believe. And because it's like the way that the transfer window and Twitter is now, it is like these tidbits of information of and like the fact that you don't know who's verified on Twitter anymore, it's hard to you're proper sifting through, and unless it's a really reputable journalist like a Fabrizio, like a David Ornstein or whoever, you just don't know what to listen to, and you just want that, it's like the old school, just wait to see him with a shirt or wait to see what he says. And he's on preseason, he's played, he's meant to play 2 games, so I don't know how much you can look into that, but then Højbjerg was meant to start the game the other day, and he's apparently close to a deal. So what do you believe, really? I don't know.
It's like you have to take everything with a pinch of salt at the moment. And obviously, Jay, with the massive deal that's happened this afternoon with Mbappe, it just kind of highlights that prices are just hiking and hiking up. And that's probably going to put a massive spin on things at the moment with Harry Kane.
Well, obviously a straight swap deal wouldn't be awful. But, that's definitely 1,000,000% not going to happen. I'll have to call on my fellow Kingstonian Tom Hollands to have a word with his best mate Mbappe and try and secure the deal. But I don't think that's going to happen. I think, with what's going on in Saudi at the minute, I've got a little bit of a different view. I'm going to pull the TalkSport card. I massively agree with what Simon Jordan says about the Saudi league. I massively agree. You've got to give them 2 years to build their league, and then after that, regulate it, because otherwise they're never going to be able to build their league and compete. And I think that's why everyone's so annoyed, because we've never had this. The Premier League's exactly the same thing, but obviously there's human rights. But then if you go back further into any nation's history, you'll find that sort of stuff. But on the Kane thing, it just means that it's just another string to another bow for another journalist to spin something about. It's just an endless cycle. And I think Connor will back me here. I think me and Connor have been on maybe 5 or 6 shows together where we've talked about this exact same topic, and we're still here. And no matter what interest, nothing's happening. And I think it's just frustrating for everyone.
No, I think you've hit the nail on the head, and I'm kind of bored of talking about Harry Kane now. So I think it's good that we did that to start with, and we can move on. I mean, it could have been even better. We could have had another game to talk about, but Connor, like you said at the start of the show, because we've decided to go on pre-season tour in the monsoon season, the Leicester game obviously got cancelled. So that means another game that Ange is not going to be able to prepare the side for.
It's so Spursy you couldn't even write it, because you saw Roma pull out, and it was like, Roma, I don't know what the reasoning was behind Roma. I didn't really read into it, but Roma pulled out, and you're thinking, oh, okay, I can't wait to play against the super, I don't even know what their name is. What a fantastic team. That's fine.
It has Lion and Sailor in it. That's all I know, but I'm not sure what order.
You know what? I love the name. It's brilliant. I can't wait to play against them. But then on top of that, you literally have a game called off. And to be fair, a lot of fans on Twitter have been arguing about the fact that, you forked out for Spurs play and now you've missed out on a game and you're not getting anything. It's a bit, you're not going to get refunded. So I don't know what that is. But yeah, it's just so Spursy. You cannot write this of purely having your pre-season as dismantled as this is. And it doesn't help Ange. It's good that we got Ange in as early as we did. It's good that we got some players signed, like Solomon, Maddison, all them lot, getting them settled, but with Vicario as well. But the issue you've got is a stepping aside from pre-season being cancelled, and we're probably going to go into this anyway. Centre backs, we saw the first performance. The first performance was the evidence of the centre backs. So, I just laughed. Seeing the game cancelled, because it is just so Tottenham. It's ridiculous.
It is. And I think that's the thing, Sonny. I think that, like Connor said, it's the fact that Ange has now missed another opportunity to gel this team together. And like Connor said as well, we're still at the point where we haven't got these centre-backs. So how on earth are we going to be able to play how we want to play if we don't have those key players?
I think we needed more time than a lot of teams this pre-season, because we've gone from the negative Conte 5 at the back to a 4 at the back, progressive attacking football. And we did see, in a short space of time, how this team can look under Ange against West Ham, but then the defense was the biggest issue. I could have told you that Davison Sanchez is I don't know why he went on. I don't know if it's now lowered his value with selling him. I think it was just he's just so bad. Honestly, words can't describe. But it's now, like I'm saying earlier, like Tapsoba's still. They're still close, it's far, and then it's just like, what sort of negotiations are going on? Do they meet daily? Do they talk every other day? Surely, I just don't understand where this conversation's going. And then you see the rumours of Tosin Adarabioyo, who I think would be quite a good signing, and then you see Longley, and I'm like, surely we can't be going for them two. Like, I feel like you'd get Tosin and then one of the other two of Tapsoba or Mickey van der Ven. If we get Longley and Tosin Adarabioyo, I just think that's just weak again, and it's not the direction we really want to be heading in, because the other two are quite promising and younger profile as well. So I don't know. Honestly, my whole weekend was ruined. I got rained off at a festival. The cricket got rained off, and Tottenham got rained off. So why does it always rain on me?
No, it is right. It is correct. It's just, again, I wanted to not see Harry Winks do an absolute beast mode in the middle for Leicester. So that was quite nice that we didn't have to watch that. But Jay, just kind of moving on from Sonny's point in the sense of these centre backs. Obviously, those two that we want, Mickey de Ven and obviously Tapsoba. There is rumours obviously about Tosin as well. Should this have been something that we should have already not been talking about again, like Kane? This should have already been done and dusted. Or do you think we're waiting for those to leave that could be going out the door?
I think the Højbjerg sale is a thing. I really do. I think the Gio situation is interesting because his performance in the second half, and that's at this, when I watched it, that second half team were a lot better than the first half team, which was very concerning. But I think that second half team had a lot of players that are playing for moves, and they didn't perform well because they want to get back in the Spurs team. I don't think. I think they performed well because drives up their salaries, drives up their market value. So I think it is an element of waiting. I do think it's the classic Spurs thing. I feel like they've gone on too long for it to happen. If you look at Maddison went on for a couple of weeks and then kind of happened. This has been going on for ages, and again, I feel like I've been on here talking about those two centre backs before. It just goes on, and the longer it goes on, it's that classic thing. It's just it just means it's not going to happen. And yeah, to get Tosin and Longley is a very, and we've already used it once on this podcast today, but a very Spursy thing to do in the transfer window. Have your two main targets and then go, well, yeah, but these two are cheaper. And, the argument will be, Tosin's got Premier League experience and so's Longley. So, they're a lot more surer heads and they're less of a risk. It's like, that's just a cop-out. But yeah, I do think I think getting them over the line will be dependent on the Højbjerg fee and who else we can get out the door.
No, I think that's the thing. It's just frustrating because we've known from the start of this transfer window that they are the two positions, even prior to the transfer window, those are the two positions we've needed to secure, and we still haven't done it. I mean, Connor, there was news about the Blackburn player. I think it was Ashley Phillips, and I know you did a little section on him. So obviously, I think it's just timing because a lot of Spurs fans, obviously, I don't think they grudge him coming to Spurs at such a young age. I think it's the timing, the fact that we need someone that's prominent at the back, not another youngster.
Absolutely, yeah. Again, very promising player, but when you look at I've said this over and over. When you looked at the summer, we've made great signings in Maddison, Solomon, Vicario. We've done great business, but the first priority always was that defence. We ship something like 60 goals last season. That is that's embarrassing for a team that was fighting to get into Europe. That is embarrassing. And bear in mind, Conte was quite a defensive manager. So if you've got that with quite a defence. 3 goals away at Southampton, 3 goals at home to Bournemouth, 6 goals away to that could go on. Honestly, it's laughable that it's not been done. And it's really, you know what? We're talking about the Kane rumours being annoying. I'm getting annoyed with the Van der Ven and the Tapsoba rumours because that's been going on for ages. It's just the other side of it of us trying to sign them. No, it's infuriating. I don't understand how, if we were seriously getting behind the manager, that we haven't got one in, and Ashley Phillips is, but that's another one that looks like it's going to fall through as well. This is just us. And it's the same story. And there was a great comment there a minute ago about 3 weeks away from the first game of the season. Why have we not got a centre-back settled? Why are we not training them up in pre-season? We haven't got an easy start to the season. Brentford away, United at home. Do you know what I mean? There's no excuses. There's genuinely no excuses. We can praise how this window has started to go, but we still haven't got any new centre-backs at the end of the day. And if we get Longley, it's a huge cop-out, and I'm going to be fuming and fans are going to be fuming, right? Adebayo, yes, okay, it could what Prem experience, not bad. If we can get him on the cheap, that's okay. But then you go and get Van der Ven or Tapsoba. If you're serious, we're clearly not serious. We're clearly not serious. We're clearly happy to still settle for mediocrity. And I'm not going to call out any players that we've got because the manager's going to make his choice, and that's fine. But like Sonny, I keep calling you Sonny. Like,
it is Sonny. So
sorry. Like Sonny said, Sanchez, I don't want to call him out, but in pre-season, you've seen again already. Like, I could talk about this for hours. It just really winds me up. There's no excuses anymore. I don't know how we still haven't sorted anything out.
No, and I think that's the thing. I think, like you said, getting Ange in early to settle the team. But Sonny, there's no point if we haven't actually got the core of the team yet, is there?
It's just confusing. Like to go off the point you're making there. We're not got any FFP charges or any, like, there's nothing looming there. Because I know, like, teams like Everton and, like, they're always like, oh, we got to, even Newcastle, they're working within their means with FFP. But we do seem to monitor on, like, it's like a club, one in, one out. Like, we have to sell to spend. It's like, but we've got so much money. Like, we earn so much money from our revenue streams. And, we've still got potential to sell stadium naming rights and all the, like, other things we have, like the go-karting and all what, like the concerts and stuff like that. So I just don't understand how they just must view it as a business. Levy, Joe Lewis, Daniel Levy just view it as a business, profitable organisation that does turn over good revenue if you compare it to like a normal business. But this is a football club, and to run a football club in the modern world, you have to chuck money at it like there's no tomorrow. Like, we're looking at Saudi. They're willing to chuck £1 billion at Mbappe for what is essentially a year-long loan deal. Like, I'm not saying Tottenham should do that, but there's going to come a time sooner rather than later where Saudi clubs are going to be bigger, that like throwing their weight more around than us. They probably are already, some of them, like the way they're offering money and wages. But in the sense of the footballing world and the footballing map, we're just going to go into obsoleteness. And yeah, as you say, for the preparation for Ange, it's just not good, because you look at, like, it was quite promising at the beginning. He comes in, he signs Maddison, we get a goalkeeper sorted, which, we're not sure if that's going to work out. But you think, we're getting back to where we want to be. And then you just go round in circles because we've got an unhappy player in Harry Kane and blatant issues that we haven't solved in 4 to 5 years.
100%.
I'm just going to say very quickly as well, like you mentioned Harry Kane there as well. What must he think if he's conflicted about staying and going, and he's looking at that defence? What must he think if you still have that same defence? Come on, you're not serious.
Especially with James Maddison. Like, I thought signing James Maddison, I thought this could convince Kane to stay. Like, we've seen him playing golf with some kangaroos. Like, I was like, here we go. He's working his magic to try and convince him to stay. But then, like, I know they're all mates. Like, Kane must be mates with players like Eric Dyer and whoever. But it's like, surely you've got to, like, Kane being as senior as he is and a potential captain if he was to stay, surely you're going into the offices and being like, come on, like, what are we actually doing here? Try and convince him to stay by acting, and you're not. So he's going to go, isn't he?
I think that's the biggest thing. And I think maybe pushing his ultimatum on Kane is trying to make him look like the bad guy if he does leave, isn't it, Jay? Do you think?
I think it's a little bit of a cop-out, to be honest. If that's the reason. If the reason is that his camp, I do not question, and I said this during the City saga last year, I do not question Kane's professionalism, and I do not question his character. I question the people around him making the big decisions in his career, because if you look at his family, Kate, the kids, everything, I do not think that he would, be dragging this out if it's him. I think something's going on, and if the club, when people forget that footballers, they are people, but they are also a product, and if Tottenham, Joe Lewis, Daniel Levy, whoever are saying to Kane and his representatives, take the contract or go, then that's not a cop out. That's stop dragging this out. This goes back to what we said earlier in the podcast about someone needs to come out and do something. And if this is true, and if the club has done that, I reckon it's probably because it's got to the wit's end. This is it. Make your decision. And we need to be careful when we say make your decision, because we forget that these footballers are people, but they are also written for and spoken for by their agents. So it's very difficult to say that it's questioning Kane's character or it's unfair to put Kane in this position, because it's probably not Kane that's got himself there.
100%.
And as well, and on top of that, his wife is 8 months pregnant.
Yeah,
Genuinely,
exactly.
would he be sitting there thinking about what club he's going to be at when his wife's 8? If my wife was 8 months pregnant and I got my boss going on at me saying you need to make a decision about just little things like that,
people don't take that into consideration though. It's like Marco Silva being offered 40 million, and people go, "Well, it's life-changing money." It's like, but I like living in West London. Maybe I don't want to go and live in Riyadh or something like that. I don't know where the team was he was linked to. Like, there's personable things you have to talk about here. And your average football fan thinks it's just easy to go, right, I'm going to move to Manchester. I'm going to move to Newcastle. It's like, it doesn't work like that, does it? Like, you have to just take into consideration the human side of it. They just don't.
No, they never do. And I think not going to pull up obviously the Dele Alli thing, but I think that kind of documentary made people realise that actually, yeah, these footballers are human, and I think that's something we all kind of need to remember. I mean, because Connor, I just want to talk about the Leicester game, because obviously to try and make the podcast not as negative, because yes, there are a lot of negative things going on, but there was a lot of good things that came out of obviously that game against West Ham, and that was obviously seeing Solomon. It's obviously the first time that we've seen him, and the fact that I thought he had a brilliant first appearance in a Spurs shirt.
Looked fantastic, looked hungry, looked like he really wanted to show himself, and he looked like the player that we signed, someone who genuinely is actually going to create a bit of competition, because I'm not, again, I don't like digging out Danjuma or Lucas. Danjuma didn't do anything wrong last season. Lucas is just, I love Lucas, but bringing Solomon in on a free as someone who actually is hungry and wants to prove himself and fight for whether it be Son's position or Kulu's position, that's what we need. And in 45 minutes, he actually was running that and was giving it a go. And I'm impressed. I'm really, really impressed. And even then you see these, I think it's his birthday today or whatever it was, and there were the clips of him in training. He just looks so like happy to be here. And I'm sold on him. I really am. And I think as a free, if it definitely is that, and there's not some undisclosed fees that we're giving Shakhtar to keep them quiet, fantastic business already. I'm genuinely excited. And anyone who's chatting about the fact that he was benched at Fulham last season and he got 4 or 5 goals off the bench last season, but anyone who's saying all of that, you've not viewed him properly. This is the second real season of him in England. And again, even if he is a bench player, as a cup player, someone who wants to prove himself, that's what we need. I'm buzzing. I like him.
100%. And I think even if he doesn't turn into a player that starts every game, like you said, Connor, it's about him coming off the bench, because Sonny, the state of our bench last season, we never really had a player to come on and make an impact, did we? No,
it was just a bit flat, wasn't it? Every option was a bit flat. Even like you look at the defenders and the midfielder options, they're just not good enough. So yeah, I was really impressed by him. I thought he had a really good debut. I think a lot of those individuals did. Like, I think Maddison looked quite sprightly. It's just nice to see a midfielder who's a bit comfortable on the ball, good dribbler, can pick a pass. Because I feel like it was all on Bentancur, and then obviously since his injury, we've not been able to see the best of him. But yeah, I'm happy with the business we've done so far, and I think Solomon on a free is a no-brainer. And you said about good in a cup. He scored his goals in the cup. So, if that isn't an omen, I don't know what is.
Definitely a good one to keep by us. And obviously, Jay, it was nice as well to see him take on players. It's like he had no fear to go and show his worth, did he, Solomon?
Thank you. I was about to say I had to run to the door. I didn't know who we were talking about. I did try and guess. He was one of the standout performers in that first half team for me. Like Connor said, okay, he benched for Fulham last year, but got goals off the bench, and it seems to be that Ange is breeding a culture of competition at the club, which is good, very good. There's a lot of I know I don't want to talk about centre backs, but no matter how bad Eric Dyer was, you knew that Eric Dyer was starting the next game. Because there was no one to replace them. Whereas now in these attacking positions, we've got loads of players to choose between, and in midfield we've got loads of players to choose between. So it goes back to what we said about the motivations for these players, and that second half 11. Had a lot of players, like I said earlier, that could be on their way, but yeah, to see Honor play that well was quite exciting. You know, that the pop shot from the edge of the box, and you know the two signature goals that he scored for Fulham last year were carbon copies of when he cut inside. And then when I was watching it live, I already felt myself going off the sofa to celebrate, because I thought, oh, I've seen him do this like twice. You know, it's easy boring, really. And then it didn't go in, but you know, I think it's a promising sign. And on a free plus a friendly, you know, I think it's not bad.
No, 100%. And I think, for help bringing up Kane again, it also shows that we can get goals from other places on the pitch, which is something I think we need as well. Connor, another player I thought that's been doing really well at the moment is Bissouma. He literally looks like a new player under Ange. So how are you kind of feeling about him?
Yeah, I think this season is going to be his season. I think, let's face it, you've seen all the stuff he's put on his story. Everyone's been saying he's silently digging out Conte with how happy he is. He's almost too happy. But yeah, he looks, and like you say, he looks a new man. He looks fresh. He looks up for it. He looks hungry. You know, listen, he's nothing on Wes's goat, Dembele, but I think in general there's that player there where there is that guy who can carry the ball and he's not afraid to put a foot in, and you know, and we need him, really. We need him, especially for Ange's system to work properly. We need someone like that in the middle. And I think as well, again, you know how much I love Skippy. I think he'd be a fantastic sort of character to teach Skippy the ropes as well. So no, I'm really impressed with him, and I think this season he'll only go up a notch. Yeah, and like I say, he just looks so happy, and it's just so lovely to see, you know, because towards the end of last season, obviously no one was happy. So it's a fresh start for not just the whole squad, but him specifically, because of how happy he is. It's great.
100%. And I think this is the culture, Sonny, that Ange is trying to instill. I mean, he's a prime example of someone, like Connor said, posting on Instagram how happy he is to go training. It's just little things like that. And you're thinking, okay, this could be positive this season.
That's the thing. I think a lot of these players, it's like they've been through the ringer in the last 3 to 4 seasons, years, and they just need an arm around them. I think they need to be told that they're good enough to play for a team like Tottenham, and that we're actually moving towards something that's like aspiring, like to play and to achieve hopefully something that's next level. But yeah, I think like as I say, there's a lot of players in there where we had question marks over, and you just needed a coach who could improve them probably mentally as well as like on the pitch as well. Like there's so much potential there. And I think I mentioned it on the last show, but I don't think Conte or even Mourinho really improved a player like in their time at the club. I feel like the only player you could sort of like hone in on, obviously Kane's different because Kane could work in, like he could play Bolton League One level and still, you know, under Big Sam stuff and like still be a good player. But people would say Eric Dyer or maybe Ben Davis, but it was like for Conte, that is. And it's like they were just sort of shoehorned into a side, and Eric Dyer's was a bit risk-free, and that's saying something, playing him in the middle of a back three. So I'm looking forward to Ange because he's got so much promise in this sort of realm of improving players. And like after one game and like a 90-minute or 45 minutes, because there was 2 different teams, obviously, we've seen the promise that these players can have. And even like Bissouma now could play the 6 role, he could play the 8. And you have to be versatile in Andy's system. So this is why when people go, oh, you've got 15 left wing backs and stuff like that, I feel like they'll be used in a perfect, you know, we could see maybe Pedro Porro play as one of the 8s. Like he's that versatile and comfortable on the ball. I don't see why it couldn't be a thing. And I am still excited about this season with all the other stuff going on anyway.
Definitely. And I think, although, like we said, we've only seen one pre-season game, there was definitely a lot of positives. And Jay, I mean, your kind of thoughts on Bissouma, because obviously Bobby's brought up about Ndombele already as well. And obviously I think he's a little bit injured with an ankle injury in training. But again, that throws up your comment about position and quality for places, because there is a lot of competition now with these players actually feeling happy working under this manager.
Well, let's put it this way. If you've got loads of players fighting for positions and they don't like the style of football and the dressing room atmosphere isn't great, then people are going to stop performing. They're not going to like each other, and it's going to start to become personal. The whole time, the vibes are like this. Everyone's enjoying being with each other. You know, you're seeing Ndombele and Bissouma in videos all the time, dancing, laughing, enjoying themselves. You know, a lot of the team seem to, you know, Kane and Maddison are out seeing the Kangaroos. You know, you don't, if you feel a part of the team and you feel part of, you're going in the same direction as everyone else, I think it means that, okay, even if there's competition for places, you want your colleague to do well, you know, and I think that's the biggest thing, because, you know, anyone that's played Sunday League football, you know, will know the minute the atmosphere goes to crap, everyone just leaves. Everyone will leave and go somewhere else, because the whole point of playing football is to enjoy it. Obviously, I know these are professionals, but if you're not starting, you want to at least want the guy on the pitch to be doing well, not going, oh, I'm better than him, I don't want to see him do well. So to see Basuma this happy and to see a lot of the players happy is very refreshing. And you know, the question to be asked is, honeymoon period, ? Maybe, you know, 1-0 away, 1-0 loss to Brentford, and then a smashing by Man United. We're still going to see Basuma dancing in the changing rooms? That's what I'm saying. It's very good to see now, but let's get into the crux of the season and then see if this positivity will maintain.
Some very good points, Jay. I think you're right in a sense that it's good now, and don't get me wrong, I love seeing it because, like you said, it's very refreshing. It's just whether, when it comes to the crunch time, whether that's going to say the same. Connor, talking about crunch time, obviously it was Vicario's first outing as well against West Ham, and I'm not going to lie, a lot of people had a lot to say about him, and not all good things. And then I'll go back to the fact of who he's got in front of him. So that said, Connor, what was your kind of first take on Vicario?
A lot of people are very silly and are very quick to judge, and yeah, that's me being kind. What made me laugh is you had a lot of people judging him for the goal in the second half, you know, blaming him. He wasn't in goal. He wasn't in goal. Was you not watching the game? He wasn't in goal. I mean, you know, first of all, it's his first 45 minutes for the club. Like, what, you expecting him to pull out some mad sort of Peter Shilton saves, and do you know what I mean? Like, give the guy time. Don't get on his back. 45 minutes. What what are you going to do in 45 minutes? We're going to start scoring from the halfway line. Honestly, it's no. He made one or two decent saves. I can't really fault him too much. I mean, again, it was the defense, to be honest. Am I right? Both goals were headers. But I think they were both. Yeah. Again, the defense in front of him, like the defense in front of him, that is the same defense that hasn't got any new centre backs. Not his fault. Not his fault. He signed up to join Tottenham Hotspur and have success. He didn't sign up to join Tottenham Hotspur, have success with the same defense. So I will give the guy time. Yeah, 100%. Adrian, spot on, mate. Exactly. No, I'm not having it. If anyone wants to keep criticising Vicario in pre-season, at me, send me an at, and I'll have a word with you, because it is ridiculous. I'm sick of it. I'm sick of our fans getting on players' backs way too soon, and they wonder why we all clash with each other, and a lot of our players are feeling so bad about them. No, like yeah, give him time. Give him time.
100%. And this is the thing that I find really annoying, Sonny, because it is, like Connor said, we are far too quick to obviously judge players, especially when we've put up with stuff. So I don't know whether it's because we're impatient because we want success now, but we know that's not going to happen right away. We need to let him bed in.
Lloris threw a ball in the back of the net last season against Arsenal. So I like how can we judge anything? I just think this pre-season and the way football's going, I sound like an old man now. It is getting to this level of, like, even I'm going to defend Arsenal players here, like the Kai Havertz video, the Declan Rice like montage of like, and like Mason Mount ones at Man United. I'm like, I know that it's people trying to get nibbles, and I'm biting hard here, but it is getting to this silly level of these players are just literally turned up at clubs. Give them time. And I know football's this short-term thing of, like, if a player doesn't hit the ground running straight away, flop. He's a flop. You paid 60 million for Richarlison. He's a flop. Jack Grealish was a flop. Look at him now. He's just won a treble. Like, stop jumping to conclusions in football. It is about a process. We always say trust the process. Arsenal fans say it all the time. You've just got to give people time, give people I find it like the negative energy of some, like, it's okay to criticize players in certain moments, but I don't think it's fair to criticise a person after a 45-minute spell. And as you say, Connor as well, yeah, the amount of people I heard who was like, can't believe he conceded 3. I was like, you're on a holiday in Greece, you've not seen it. That's me calling out a certain individual, but I won't name names.
No, it is true. You're both right in that kind of sense that I just don't understand it. And Jay, obviously, with your background of being an ex-goalkeeper, as I always like to say, I know, I love saying it. What did you kind of take on Vicario? You can give us the lowdown on your thoughts.
I want in-depth analysis here of his position and everything.
You guys are talking to the Portsmouth Cup winning goalkeeper of 20, God knows what. Jesus Christ. No. It's the first game. I really couldn't care less, to be perfectly honest. It's kind of like what Connor said. I couldn't care less. It's first game and it's pre-season. You're getting into a new team, new system. And even towards the end of last season, me, I was Lloris's biggest defender. But, would I take Vicario with one hand over Lloris? Probably, yeah. So yeah, it's a lot to take in. He's moving to a new country, a new league, new teammates, new system. And he's played. He would have known as well. He would have known as well that he was only going to be playing a half of football. So in his head, he was probably overthinking it. Probably thinking, oh my God, I'm going to have to keep a clean sheet because if this 21-year-old goes in goal in the second half and doesn't concede, then there might be a chance that I don't, it's all going on in his head. But I wouldn't worry too much. And I'd still have him as I say this, I maybe still have him as my starting goalkeeper. It depends what the Fraser Forster situation is. And then I'd like to see both of them play before the season starts to maybe help Ange make a decision. But Fraser Forster wasn't awful for us and might be a bit of a sure hand just to maybe give us a run at the start of the season, because the last thing we're going to want is going to the United game with a keeper we're unsure of and lose the game 2-1 to a 90th minute corner that he comes for and totally flaps at in pure Italian goalkeeper style. And then we end up losing the game, and then next thing you know, he's out on loan to Helsingborgs in Sweden or something, So, yeah, just got to wait and see till the season starts.
I think it is a lot of waiting. I'm just fed up of waiting for centre-backs because, again, that's another thing. Vicario is going to have hopefully 2 new centre-backs in front of him, which, again, is going to obviously cause a bit of a stress with how he's going to play. But hopefully we get that done. And talk about transfers. Connor, I know we've mentioned it a little bit with Højbjerg, but I just want to sum it up because, obviously, it is looking like he's going to potentially go to Atletico Madrid. Now, everybody calls him the Viking. Would you be too hard done by if he did, obviously, leave Tottenham?
Wouldn't say too hard done by. I wouldn't shed a tear, but I'd be a little bit. Oh, that's sad. I like him. I like his fight. He's an awful footballer to watch passing the ball on it. Every single home game, I'm sitting there and he gives the ball away 5 times. I'm going, what are you doing? But he's a fighter. He tracks back. He's not afraid to put a foot in. And I love that. We haven't had a lot of that recently. We've been missing a lot of players that are really willing to fight for the shirt. And he's given us, Marseille away. That goal at the end was, honestly, that was fantastic. And that's the sort of player he is. So I love his spirit. If Atletico are willing to pay, 40 million? Go on then. Do you know what I mean? I see we're being rumoured with Gallagher. I'd love Gallagher. Not that he would come to Spurs and Chelsea, but if you're letting Højbjerg go and you're bringing Gallagher in, I've got no complaints. Gallagher's equally a fighter, maybe a little bit more technical on the ball as well. I'll be sad, but I won't be sad as I will for Kane, where I probably will shed literal tears. So, I'll remember him fondly if he does leave, though.
I think that's the thing. I think that's why he stand out for so many people, just because he had that fight, Sonny. But like Connor said, I don't think I'm going to be too upset if he does decide to depart.
I think the fee and it's sort of like the stars have aligned. It probably makes the most sense. And we look at our midfield options now. I feel like he is probably passing is probably one of the key things. And I'd say Skip's got a better pass on him. Look at Sarr. I think Sarr I'd rather sell him and keep Sarr instead of keeping Højbjerg and then loaning out Sarr. I think that would just be a bit silly. And obviously, like, he's a younger profile as well, which helps. Yeah, I just think, I'm not sure, like, I don't even think he'd make the starting lineup, Højbjerg, this season. Because if you're playing Basuma in the 6 and then you're playing 2 8s, Højbjerg can't play there. So I just don't see how it's going to fit. I mean, he was meant to start the Leicester game as the 6, but obviously that just confuses me why you'd start him and then we're close to agree. I just don't understand. I just personally don't understand that. But then that's going on with Kane as well. Don't want to keep mentioning him, but yeah, I think perfect time. If I mean, Simeone's going to absolutely love him. If he isn't an Atletico Madrid player, I don't know who is. It'll be great for them. And it's going to be a fun watch.
It will be, definitely. And Jay, I think that's the thing that Sonny's kind of said, in a sense that for once, I feel like we're actually getting a deal done or a transfer done at the right time, rather than sitting on a player and then their price decline.
Have we seen him holding an Atletico Madrid shirt yet?
No.
Is my question.
Very good point. It's the same.
It's exactly the same thing. It's, have we seen him in the shirt? Have we seen the year-end accounts to confirm how much we got him for? Is Højbjerg going to go to Atletico Madrid for an undisclosed fee, which is like 20p in a bag of crisps? It's just, I think him going, like Connor said, I really want him to do well. But I just think we've got younger players with a higher ceiling, and it's not. I think he's awful. I just think we'd be wasting talent. I'd rather sell him for 40 million, Basuma start in the 6, and then someone like Harvey White end up on the bench and maybe play cup games and play in the 6. For 40 million, it makes sense. But that's exactly why it probably won't happen, and we'll see him start against Brentford.
I mean, I love it, Jay. You bring us all back down to earth. But hypothetically speaking, it would be lovely to see him with an Atletico Madrid shirt on. So I'm not saying that I would. I mean, like you said, his determination, his grit was something that we needed last season. We needed a lot of players to have that, but sadly didn't. But it might be the time is right, so to speak. And Connor's saying that the time is right. Obviously, we're not Davinson Sanchez's biggest fans. I'd hold my hands up to that. But it does also look like he could be departing as well, which could obviously open up an avenue to get one of those centre-backs in that we need.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think so. I mean, if Dav goes and we haven't got a new centre-back, bloody hell, what are we going to do? Seriously, like, especially with the Phillips deal looking like it's collapsed as well. Do you know what? With Dav, right, I actually feel awful every time I think about Dav, because I secretly love him. I do. I think he wants to try and play football, and just not good enough.
Wants being the key word there.
Yeah, and he wants to. And do you know what? And again, I will never forgive the fans for booing him. Like, I can't remember the last time I felt so uncomfortable on the ground. Like, I was physically feeling so like uncomfortable seeing that. Like, it's awful. I've no respect for fans ever booing one of our players in general, let alone one of our players. Yeah, it's best for all parties, to be honest. Ever since that happened, I was like, and there was the whole thing after that of he wants to go. I think it's best for all parties. It's a bit suspect if it's selling him to Russia with everything that's got, to Spartak Moscow, everything going on. I don't know what will happen there. We'll knowing Spursy how that goes, we'll probably get a sanction from the FA for selling him to Russia, and we'll end up getting about 1 million for him instead of 12 or something. Who knows? But yeah, no, it's best for all parties. I just think if he does, we saw him pre-season, it wasn't going to work. He's ready in 45 minutes. I was going to give him a chance to add, but like, no, okay. Yeah, no, it's best for all parties. I actually don't care what the fee is. I know we paid a lot of money for him, but I think we've got to be realistic here. If it works for both parties, let him go, and then maybe we'll somehow scrape 2 million to push for a centre-back finally. Who knows? Yeah, I'll be sad for him, but I won't be sad particularly if he goes. Yeah, definitely.
I was say, I'm glad you retracted your comment about that he possibly could start. I sadly don't want to see him in the Spurs shirt again, as awful as that sounds. But Sonny, it feels like it could be a good move. Obviously, 12 million is the fee suggested, which, okay, yeah, it's a lot of money we've lost, but we need to cut our losses at this point, I think.
I paid 12 million to get rid of him. Ever since that Man City game where Gundogan put him flat on his face, That was the day me and him broke up. Just I think Tottenham need to realise that we need to start learning to bite the bullet. Like we've seen Chelsea just this window just get cutting losses and just saying like, right, we made a mistake here, let's get rid and stop holding on to players longer than we need to. It's becoming a bit ridiculous, some of the players that are just lingering around. Like, and then you've got situations where Eric Dyer could be given a new contract, but then he could be off, and you're like, no other club does this. I don't like with players like that, and I just feel like, you know, Arsenal have done it up the road. Like they did it perfectly, getting rid of Mustafi and Socrates and all these like players who were just hanging on for dear life. And sometimes you just got to pull the plug and just it might inject a new energy into the club of like, we're not going to muck around anymore, and just, you know, if you sign a long-term contract, you're not going to be here till it's over, sort of thing. And yeah, it was a big fee. What was it? Between 35, 40, 45 million euros, pounds. I'm not sure what we calculate anymore with transfers. You've just got to really like just put it down as another Tottenham mistake. I think the list is getting endless, but still.
No, it is ever long. Jesus, I can't speak today. Ever ending with the amount of transfers that have happened and we spent so much money on. But Jay, obviously, the last word on kind of Sanchez and your kind of thoughts. I mean, Sonny's obviously spoken about how teams are managing to get rid of players so easy. Why can't we manage it?
Well, you know, I think we've got a perfect opportunity here to do so. You know, we go to play Lion City Sailors. They probably could do with a centre back, and there we go. You know, just leave him there, and you know, then we haven't got to worry about sending him to Russia.
That's so good.
I mean, he might sit
Home
on the
Alone
bench
style.
Home Alone style, just like on the plane, and just going, I think we've left something. Yeah. But no, I think the goal against West Ham sealed his fate. Really, if there was any chance of we're all for the Tanguy and Ndombele redemption arc. If there was any chance of a Davinson Sanchez redemption arc, it definitely disappeared in that preseason game. And yeah, the only thing I would say about to Sonny's point about Chelsea cutting their losses and why aren't we? We haven't got a Saudi benefactor club that can also buy all of our players for pretty much the same price we sold them.
I wish we did.
Yeah, I wish we did. I wish we did. But that's exactly why Chelsea couldn't get rid of their players under Abramovich, was because they didn't have they're in exactly the same situation as us. They had all these crap players that no one wanted to buy, and they were all just being toxic to each other. So yes, they are a real football team, Darren. It's who we're playing against. So
riveting competition.
Knowing us, you know, we've struggled in the Conference League qualifiers before. So, you know, I
and
would
it's
not...
more a PTSD. That's what's
yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think Sanchez going is one of many who need to leave, and hopefully we do the right thing and move him on. And I just don't think it's a good environment for him as a person or a player after, like what Connor said happened to him. You know, I have seen a certain club's club captain take off the shirt and throw the armband on the floor before and redeem his career. So that's not out of the question. But sadly, he was actually a half-decent footballer, and I don't think Davinson Sanchez is.
Oh my days, no, you're right there, Jay, in a sense that I think we all know that his time at Spurs is probably coming to an end. And like you said, it's probably worked out well for him to find a new club. And speaking about, obviously, Lion City and their manager, Captain Pugwash, we do have a couple more friendlies left to go. I wish we had more, but we don't. But Connor, with those ones left, I kind of want to get all three of yours last points on this. And it'll be, what do you kind of want to see in the upcoming preseason games right before the season start?
What I enjoyed was the experimentation with that first game already. I liked that it was two complete different teams over the two halves, really. If, you know, please, we don't have any more preseason friendlies cancelled. It'd be good to maybe we try that, but we try it less. So maybe we give them more than 45 minutes. Then we make the check. You know, we do something. I'd like to see, again, I love Skippy. I will defend Skippy to the end of the earth. I want to see more Skippy. I always want to see more Skippy, to be honest. I want to see different systems used, you know, whether it's experimenting a bit more with Solomon and Kulu and Son wasn't played as well. I'd just like to see maybe different lineups tried. And again, we didn't see Dyer. That's not a good thing. I shouldn't say that we didn't see Dyer. Roden, again, that was another player whose career we potentially ruined. What I would like to see is for for example, like Gio played well that 45 minutes and Solomon played well. And, we haven't seen Ndombele yet. So I'd like to see those players a little bit more before we start thinking that Gio is on this massive redemption arc. For me, Reggie looked awful. I know it's 45 minutes, but I really was not convinced by him at all. So I'd like to have more clarity, at least from my perspective, because, maybe Ange sees something from my perspective, if he's good enough, and then you push him there. So just more experimentation, more minutes, and just don't lose to the Lion City Sailors, please. Please don't. That is the last thing we need going into this season. But it'll be good. Let's just hope they're not cancelled anymore.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't think the weather's looking very good for Lion City Sailors. So hopefully that one does go ahead. But Sonny, what's your kind of thoughts? What are you kind of hoping to see or achieve, so to speak, in these preseason games coming up?
Well, I'd say we've got 3 different levels of games, haven't we? We've got Lion City Sailors who are like down here. Then we've got Shakhtar, and then we've got Barcelona. So in all those, I'd like to see, I want to see Son, obviously. I feel like I want to see how he can do in an Ange system. I'd like to see, especially in that Barcelona game, that should be, I think it's only a few days before the Brentford game. So I'd like to see our strongest team as these games go along. I want to see what Ange's perfect team is. But then also I would like to see some experimentation and seeing how versatile players could potentially be. Like maybe try some of the wing backs in midfield, see if that works. Maybe see if like Emerson Royal can work as a right centre back as a stopgap. I don't know, because if we're not getting close to these centre back signings, that might have to happen. Maybe I want to see more of Vicario, mainly with his feet as well, because I feel like we didn't really see a lot of that in the last game. I feel like he was being remembered for his saves, and he actually did make a really good save in that game as well. And more from what we saw in the West Ham game, good passing, a lot of chances. That was the definition of a game where you could see it was the first game with all these players, but they did have a lot of chances and a lot of them were on target. If it weren't for Fabianski being very good that day, we could have easily won that. So just pretty much the same from that. If we can replicate that again, my one main thing that I don't want 11 subs, because I feel like we need a bit of cohesion. Maybe they do 5 at a time, don't they? Sometimes in these preseason games, towards the end, like I just want to see a lot of the starters sort of making an impact on the team, because the Premier League is not far away now.
It's really not. The days are counting down. But yeah, I think, like you said, I want to see some more passages of play, because there was quite a few that were positive in that game, and I just hope that continues. Jay, obviously, your last thoughts on how you want to see the next couple of preseason games go?
I want to see 7-0 at half-time against Lion City Sailors, because that's what it should be, and it would make me so much more confident for when Colchester come and play us in the FA Cup next year, and I don't have to go, this is where we struggle. I've already got visions of them scoring a corner in the first minute when we play them, and us going 1-0 down, and then all over Twitter it's going to be an absolute hellhole. I'd like to see a strong 11 start, have the game won by half time, then give a chance to all of the youngsters, which I think this game will be the last game where we do the 11 for the 11, as in like substitutes. And then I think the other games, I think, like Sonny said, it's got to be the team that's going to start as much as possible, and then give some chances to people that might have a chance in there, or some of the youngsters, because obviously they might not get as much game time and they might need the advertising window for their loan moves for the season ahead. But yeah, I just want to see convincing Spurs, and I just don't know about that Barcelona game, whether I'd sacrifice my best 11 for a fully fit first 11 against Brentford. I really don't know. It's a tough one. It is a tough one, but it depends on, obviously, trust in Ange. That's the main thing. Trust in Ange.
100. I think that's the thing. I think we've got to that point now where we've gone through these managers that were winners. I know that Ange is a winner everywhere he's been. So it'd be interesting to see how he takes this new Tottenham side forward and into the new Premier League season. It is a lot to be excited for. Obviously, we've got a lot of stuff obviously hanging over our heads with Kane and with the 2 centre-backs, but I'm hoping they can all get sorted before we start this Premier League, because I can't be dealing with it if not. But no, thank you to you guys for joining me tonight. Thank you to everybody that's been in the chat. You have been very lively, so I do appreciate it. If you are still watching, make sure you like, subscribe, all the good stuff, and we'll go around the table and tell everyone where we can find each other. So, Connor, thank you again for joining me tonight. Where can everybody find you doing your thing? And please plug your new song, please, I beg.
No one wants to hear that. It's the first one yet. Yeah, so it's my name there, CT's Clavigna. You can find me on mainly making stuff on TikTok, but it's on every platform now, sadly, for everyone who will have to hear this. Twitter, Instagram is the handle, even on YouTube, sort of. And yeah, thanks for having me on. Absolute pleasure. Yeah, there's a lot, like you say, there's a lot to be excited about. So I think we've just all got to stay optimistic and go from there. But Hollie is nearly at there. Hollie is nearly at 3K. So push to get Hollie to 3K. That's my most important thing. I'm not. Don't worry about me. Don't worry about following me. Go and get Hollie to 3K. Yeah.
No, thank you, Connor. I appreciate it. But no, do go check out his tunes because they are bangers, man. I do love them every time I see them. And also, thank you to Sonny tonight as well for joining us. Where can everybody find you doing your thing?
Thank you. I think my debut was good. I think this one, similar. So I'm playing, 6 out of 10 each time. So I'll take that. Yeah, Sonny Talk Spurs on YouTube, Sonny Snelling on the rest of my socials, and you might see me on TalkSports Twitter talking to Gabby Abon-Lahore. So, I think I said that last time.
No, you did. No, thank you. I really do appreciate you coming on, Sonny. So no, I'd say it's higher than a 6, mate. So you can hold your head higher. And also thank you to Jay as well for joining me tonight. Jay, where can everybody find you doing your thing?
You can normally find me on Twitter winding people up. And yeah, on YouTube, I post on YouTube, and I do still have a Twitch channel, which is JJ Season. So yeah, no podcasting as of yet, but lots of football content anyway. So, and yeah, like I said, normally find me winding people up on Twitter. So,
or sending me tweets of people you've wound up over the day, which is interesting to say the least. But no, thank you guys for all joining me tonight. Like I say, I mainly say that a Monday show is a therapy session, and I think we've needed it with the Kane saga. But at least it ended on a high note, and I appreciate everybody else that's tuned in tonight. Hollie's Hotspurs Live will be back next Monday, same time, same place. So if you fancy a bit of therapy or a bit of a chat, please make sure you tune in. And until next time, come on, you Spurs.